The Wasted Days. The story truly begins in a small town where two young men, Farhan and Zayan, lived side by side. They were childhood friends, grew up in the same streets, attended the same school, and shared the same dreams of building something great in life. But as time passed, their choices began to set them apart. Farhan was the kind of person who woke up early, respected his schedule, and never let opportunities slip by. Even when he failed, he saw failure as a lesson, not as a waste. He believed that every day was a gift, and he often said, "If I don't use today wisely, tomorrow will punish me for it." Zayan, on the other hand, was careless with his hours. He loved saying, "There's always tomorrow." His mornings started late, his nights were wasted on meaningless distractions, and whenever someone advised him, he smiled and replied, "Relax, life is long." The truth, however, was that life was not long, it only appeared so. The Fork in the Road. At 18, Farhan and Zayan both finished school. They had the same grades, the same opportunities, and the same chance to shape their futures. Farhan immediately enrolled in a course that demanded hard work and discipline. Zayan promised himself he would do the same, but he delayed. One day he said, "I'll apply tomorrow." Tomorrow turned into a week into a month, and soon a whole year had passed. While Farhan spent that year building knowledge and skills, Zayan spent it wandering, scrolling endlessly on his phone, wasting nights on games, and complaining about boredom. What neither of them noticed was that time had quietly marked its judgment. Farhan moved ahead, Zayan remained stuck. The illusion of plenty. Many people in the town admired Farhan's discipline, but laughed at Zayan's habits. "He is young, he has time," they said. But years do not wait for anyone. When Farhan turned 25, he had already started a small business, gained respect in the community, and helped his family. Zayan, also 25, had nothing to show. He often sat outside his home, staring at the sky, wondering where his life went. The same people who once laughed at his laziness now pitied him. One evening, Zayan confessed to Farhan, "I don't know how you managed to achieve so much. We were both given the same years, yet your hands are full and mine are empty." Farhan placed a hand on his shoulder and said softly, "Brother, the answer is simple. I did not waste my time. You did a universal truth." The story of Farhan and Zayan is not just about two friends in a small town. It is about all of us. Every human being is either Farhan or Zayan, or somewhere in between. Every one of us has dreams, and every one of us is given the same 24 hours. The difference is only in what we do with them. Time is the most democratic gift in existence. It does not give more to the rich and less to the poor. It does not favor one race, nation, or class over another. But time is also the most unforgiving. Once it is gone, it never returns. Looking deeper. At this point, it is important to pause and ask yourself, am I living like Farhan, using my hours to build a meaningful future? Or am I living like Zayan, postponing life to a tomorrow that may never come? This story does not exist to praise one man and condemn another. It exists to remind us that we all carry the same responsibility. If you are wasting time today, you are choosing regret tomorrow. If you respect time today, you are choosing peace tomorrow.
Years passed quietly, and the once lively friendship between Farhan and Zion became a silent reminder of how differently two people can travel through time. Farhan's life had blossomed with meaning. His small business had grown steadily, his family respected him, and his days were filled with purpose. Zion, however, was surrounded by a different silence, one made of regret and missed chances. He often blamed fate for his failures, telling himself that Farhan had simply been lucky. But late at night, when the noise of the world faded away, a small voice within whispered the truth. It wasn't luck, it was time. Zion could remember all the opportunities he had once brushed aside, the scholarship he ignored because he thought the deadline was far away, the job he didn't apply for because he wasn't ready yet, the friend who had offered to teach him something new but whom he never took seriously. Every time, he had comforted himself with the same excuse. Maybe next time. But time had no mercy. and next time never came. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky burned in orange and gold, Zayan sat alone on an old wooden bench in the park. He watched children run and laugh while their parents smiled nearby. That simple scene broke something inside him, for he saw in those children the energy he had once wasted. He looked at the old wristwatch on his arm, the same one he had worn for years, and realized that while its hands had kept moving forward, his life had not. As he sat there lost in thought, Farhan happened to walk by. He saw Zayan sitting quietly and joined him. After a few moments of silence, Farhan asked gently what was wrong. Zayan looked at him and confessed, "I've been thinking about time, Farhan, about all the things I said I would do, about how life just slipped past me." Farhan listened patiently. Zayan continued, "I used to think you were lucky, but now I see it wasn't luck. It was discipline. You respected your time, and I didn't. Now I feel like I've lost my chance." Farhan smiled softly and said, "No, my friend, you haven't lost your chance. You've lost time, yes, but as long as you are alive, you can still create meaning. Time doesn't forgive the past, but it rewards those who start using the present." Zion stared at him, unsure whether to believe those words, and quietly asked, "Do you really think I can change?" Farhan nodded. "Of course. You just have to stop saying later and start saying now." That night, Zion lay awake, replaying Farhan's words over and over. "Stop saying later. Start saying now." They struck his heart like lightning. He looked around his small, dimly lit room, its walls covered with old posters of dreams that never came true, its corners filled with the dust of forgotten ambition. Then his eyes fell on a notebook lying beneath a pile of old clothes. It was the one he had bought years ago, planning to write ideas for his future. He picked it up, brushed off the dust, and opened it. The pages were blank. Taking a pen in trembling fingers, he wrote his first new line in years. Day 1, I will not waste another hour. The next morning, he woke up before dawn. The world outside was quiet, but within him, something had awakened. He made a small list of things to do: learn a new skill, help someone, avoid wasting time online, sleep early, and repeat it tomorrow. It was a simple plan, but for Zion, it was the beginning of a new life. The change didn't come easily. There were days when old habits pulled him back, mornings when he wanted to stay in bed, evenings when the phone's glow tempted him to waste time again. But he fought through them. Every time he felt weak, he whispered his promise to himself: don't waste your time. Slowly, his world began to change. He started learning graphic design online, something he had always dreamed of, but never had the patience to pursue. One day, he created a poster that read, "Time is life. Don't let it slip away." He posted it online, and to his surprise, people began sharing it everywhere. For the first time in years, Zion felt proud, not because of likes or shares, but because he had finally done something meaningful. When Farhan saw the post, he visited him again. "You look different," he said with a smile. "Lighter." Zion nodded, "Because I'm not carrying the weight of wasted time anymore." In that moment, he realized that life gives everyone a second chance, but only if they respect the seconds themselves. He couldn't bring back the years he had lost, but he could make sure that not another day would be wasted. And as rain began to fall one night, with thunder rolling softly outside his window, he wrote again in his notebook, "The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever." From that night onward, Zion made a vow that he would never let another hour pass without purpose, and for the first time in his life, he truly began to live. Months turned into a quiet transformation for Zion, though at first it wasn't easy. Every morning before the sun rose, he sat by the window with a cup of tea and looked at the sky slowly brightening, reminding himself that each dawn was a gift of new hours, a new beginning. He began keeping track of his days, writing in his notebook how he had spent every hour, what he had learned, and how he had improved. At first, he noticed how much time still slipped away without purpose, but instead of feeling defeated, he felt motivated. Awareness, and he wrote, is the first step to change. Soon his small habits began shaping a new rhythm in his life. He started freelancing as a graphic designer online, taking small jobs that paid little but gave him satisfaction. He treated each project like a test of patience and focus. While others complained about long hours, Zion found beauty in them. He realized that time spent creating something meaningful was never wasted. Slowly, his work improved and clients began to trust him. A few even sent words of gratitude, saying his designs carried emotion. That feedback fueled his will to continue. The same people who once teased him for being lazy now came to him for advice on productivity. Zion didn't gloat. Instead, he smiled and said, "Respect your time, and time will respect you." His surroundings started reflecting his inner transformation too. His small room, once a cluttered space filled with broken dreams, became organized and calm. The posters that once reminded him of failure now inspired him to stay focused. He placed his notebook on his desk as a symbol of his journey and added a line on the first page. "Every second is a seed. Plant it wisely." One evening, as he was working on a new project, his mother walked in and quietly watched him. Her eyes softened, and she said, "You've changed, Zayn. You seem alive again." Those simple words meant more to him than any money he had earned. He smiled and replied, "I just stopped killing time, Ami, because when you kill time, you're killing your future." That night, Zion couldn't sleep. His mind was alive with ideas. How to grow his small work into something greater. How to share his message with others who might still be lost like he once was. The next morning, he created a social page called Value Your Time and began posting short messages, quotes, and small lessons from his own experience. At first, only a handful of people noticed, but he didn't stop. He posted every single day at the same time, without fail. Weeks later, his posts started spreading widely. Thousands of people began following him, sharing how his words inspired them to study harder, chase their dreams, and use their hours wisely. Zion was astonished. His message was echoing across lives he had never met. It was as if time itself had decided to reward his honesty. His page became a small movement online, attracting teachers, students, workers, and dreamers from across the world. Each comment reminded him that no effort made with purpose ever goes to waste. Even Farhan, his old friend, started helping him manage the growing page. Together, they organized a small online campaign called 1 Hour a Day, a simple challenge encouraging people to dedicate 1 hour daily to something meaningful. Thousands joined. Zion would often say during live sessions, "If you can't change your whole life, change 1 hour of it, and soon your whole life will follow." People began calling him the man who turned time into gold. But he would always laugh and say, "I didn't turn time into gold. I just stopped throwing it away." His story even reached a local magazine, which published an article titled, "From Wasting Time to Changing Lives." Reading his name in print felt surreal, but what touched him most was when a student wrote to him saying, "Your story stopped me from giving up. You taught me to respect time." That single message brought tears to Zion's eyes, and he whispered, "That's why time is precious. It gives meaning when you use it to help others." Years later, Zion looked back on his life and realized that the greatest transformation wasn't in his career or fame, but in his mindset. He no longer feared the ticking clock. He cherished it. Every sound of a ticking second was a reminder that he was alive, learning, and moving forward. His past no longer haunted him. Instead, it guided him. He often returned to the same park bench where he had once confessed his regrets to Farhan. Now, when he sat there, it wasn't with sadness, but with gratitude. Watching the sunset, he would smile and whisper to himself, "I used to waste time waiting for the right moment. Now I know the right moment was always now." And with that realization, Zion finally understood that life doesn't give second chances to those who wait. It gives them to those who begin.